Get me up! Just get him out. Just get him out.
That is Chadwick Boseman playing Jackie Robinson in the 2013 film 42, his first starring role in a movie. Chadwick died at home on Friday, 4 years after he was diagnosed with colon cancer. Almost no one knew he was sick, including actors he had worked with on movies he starred in during that time. So the shocking news of his death struck like a lightning bolt. I first met and interviewed Chadwick in 2014 on the Jackson, Mississippi set of the film Get On Up, where he played James Brown. Executive producer Mick Jagger was there that day, praising Boseman as a star. Mick was right, of course, and the world saw it when Black Panther became a global phenomenon in 2018, grossing more than $1.3 billion at the box office. Chadwick and I got together a couple of weeks after that movie opened, as his life was changing quickly. As you watch, consider what we did not know at the time. Chadwick was fighting colon cancer in the middle of that Black Panther whirlwind.
All we got's right here. Thank you, Jack. What are you thanking me for?
On screen, Chadwick Boseman walked in the shoes of giants.
Equal protection under the law.
Sometimes he danced in them, too. He brought to life a superhero of Black power.
Wakanda forever!
And we know now he did so while fighting for his own life. The acting that sustained Boseman began back in high school as a coping mechanism after the shooting death of a classmate.
Your creative career and your career on stage was born out of tragedy in high school.
Right. I don't like to talk about it too much, but basically I wrote a play in response to it. It wasn't about his death, but it was more so just me sort of trying to deal with the fact that it had happened. And so it was, I guess, a healing process. That was really the first time that I knew what it was like to create a story, be on stage, and deliver something and have an audience respond to it in a way that was meaningful.
Let's go!
Rarely have audiences responded to anything the way they did to Marvel's Black Panther.
Show off.
As the title character, Boseman was the face of the billion-dollar sensation, whose impact went far beyond the box office.
So you are right now riding this crazy tidal wave. Like, we're right in the middle of it right now.
Yeah.
What is it like to be on it?
Literally every place I go to, it's a new experience right now. You know, just last night we were up in Harlem and there was a community screening, and I didn't sneak inside that screening and watch it. I did see the response to it, and it's musical. It's what you usually see when it's, you know, a rock star. I hesitate to say it was like the Beatles, but it felt like that.
What do you think are people responding to exactly? Because there have been a lot of superhero movies and they do well and they're popular, but there's some other dimension to this.
I think there's a thirst for these images. So there's a thirst for a Black superhero. As far as my character goes, there's a real search for how do I lead? And I think people are searching for that, leaders that actually care about the people.
I, Zuri, son of Badu, give to you Prince T'Challa, the Black Panther.
Boseman was joined in the first of its kind film by Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, Lupita Nyong'o, and Michael B. Jordan.
Every time you have a scene with one of those people, it's like gearing up for like the big game, and you're thinking about what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Like how are they gonna play this?
Right. Why do you think Hollywood hasn't made this movie until 2018?
Part of it is people do what they think works. I feel like, you know, it's lazy in a way. Anytime people would say to me, well, you know, a movie with a Black lead won't work internationally, I always said that makes no sense. whatsoever because we've seen it happen.
Right.
We've seen Will Smith do numbers internationally. We've seen the success of Denzel Washington, but somehow the industry goes back to its old forms. So luckily now we have people in place that can change some of those things.
Wakanda is a world away from the small town of Anderson, South Carolina, where Boseman grew up. He followed his passion for the stage to Howard University, the historically black college in Washington, D.C., where he majored in directing.
I was more worried about, is this person going to come out for their cue on time? Is that light on? And never really saw myself doing this. Never really saw myself being on stage or being in front of the camera.
At Howard, Boseman met Cosby Show actress Felicia Rashad, who became his professor and mentor. When Boseman was accepted to a prestigious summer acting program at Oxford University but could not afford to go, Rashad asked a famous friend to help.
I actually got a letter when I came back that said, this is your beneficiary. And the person who paid for me was Denzel Washington. It was like, oh my gosh, I gotta write him and thank him.
Have you had a chance to meet him and tell him that story?
I have. During the New York premiere, he came and he said, I haven't met you yet. And I said, yeah, I got something to tell you.
What's that moment like to meet?
It's so much. I don't even want to go there. Like
it's too much.
It's too much. Nah, it was amazing. It was amazing. Like he's everything you would think he would be. That's all I'm gonna say about it, right?
Okay. Look at you.
That's all I'm gonna say about it.
You're still processing it,
I'm still processing it, yeah.
Before Black Panther, Boseman was known best as a leading man in biopics, playing Jackie Robinson in 42, the godfather of soul James Brown in Get On Up, and most recently, former Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall.
I can't even tell you how many biopics came in. Names of people you'd be like, whoa, him too? So it hasn't been a plan. It's been more so, these are the challenges that I need to take on at this particular time.
In the 4 years after his diagnosis of colon cancer, Boseman made 4 Marvel movies and starred in recent releases like 21 Bridges and Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods. Today, Boseman is being hailed as a real-life hero and an inspiration to those who one day will walk in his shoes.
Is it a humbling and crazy thing for you to think about your early days in Anderson, South Carolina, and see where you are right now, today?
No more thing that can be humbling than that. And mainly because it's not something that, as a kid there, I would have thought would be possible. What I love now is that there are little kids now who live there who are like, yeah, I can go to Hollywood and become a movie star. Like, and that's a very, very emotional thing to even consider that you have a part in that.
Feel so lucky just to have had that time with him. What a role model those kids have in Chadwick Boseman. Thoughtful, charming, humble, and so incredibly talented. We send our love to Chadwick's family this morning as his loss is felt around the world. We have reposted the entire unedited conversation with the late Chadwick Boseman on the Sunday Sitdown podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get yours.